common sense.
Hey, Composing Gloves here, and today we are going to be wrapping up our exercises on the minor seventh chord specifically. We may have some mixed exercises coming up, but for now, this is what we're wrapping up on. So this is a composition exercise, and what I did was I want you to, again, write a melody, harmonize it. So you write out a melody, blah, 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 and then you harmonize it, da, 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 da. We did this before, and we talked about this in the video with the major 7 chords. So if this is a foreign technique to you, go check out that one. I explain in detail how we do this. So we're going to do this thing, and then last time I said, use a major chord, and that's what this top one is. So this is the major 7 exercise, and then we do a chord analysis in Roman numeral. And so we could write a brand new one. You could do that. It's totally okay. But I wanted to copy this one down and then make some adjustments to it. That way we can do a comparison. So this might be useful for you as you learn about these chords, is take what you already have done and then modify it, change your analysis, and you will begin to see, some options. How many ways can one thing appear to be? How can we use these chords to enhance it? I'm slightly cut off on my little screen right there. Oh well. So, okay. So let's take a listen to what it sounded like with no minor 7s allowed, and we used major 7s. And then the next one, starting here at measure 9, is now we include some minor 7s, and I also backed off a major 7 that I wasn't that fond of in the first place. I mostly put it there just as an exercise in major 7s. So it's pretty nice. Let's talk about some of the changes I made. So this was not intended to be like the continuation of this song, but it sort of sounded that way, and that's because of some of the changes I made. So we already see we find ourselves composing a little bit. So, okay, here I have the melody, and I originally made no changes to the melody. The first thing I looked at was the chord structure. So I said, here are my chords. I said G. These are all major chords. There is no room for minor 7 anywhere because it's all major. So I took it, and I decided to change up some of these chords so I could use minor 7. So I said, okay, I'll still use D major, but I'm going to turn this 5 into a 6. And coming from the 1 chord, you can pretty much go anywhere. So the 6 sounded great to me. We'll talk about this flat 7 in just a sec. So we went to the 6, because that's from the 1 chord, you can go just about anywhere. Kept this one the same. I thought, hey, this would be kind of nice. And I also removed the 7th here because I listened to it up here, and just starting with that is like, we're not writing a piece where that really fits. So I removed the 7th on this one. Then I said, okay, let's go to the 3-7. And I arrived at this conclusion because I wanted to do something different with the melody. So I took my melody and I had to move it around because the notes didn't quite fit, because this was before an A chord, and now I've turned it into a 6 chord, which is a B minor chord. And I knew I wanted to use a 7 because it's the whole reason I was changing it. So I went ahead and made the adjustments here, and then I did the same thing here, but this time I wrote out the melody. So first I had this jump. So I changed the melody here. So you see how before it repeated the note and then went down. Here I wanted this sort of leap and then to a little resolve down. And so this note sort of determined itself without me. Like I didn't, or because of me, I don't know. It was something that just sort of worked itself out. So I made that change, and that I put a G down, and I thought, hey, a G exists in the E minor chord, so I'll use an E minor triad. It fits in the key. It's the 3 chord, which is minor, so it all worked out. I said I'll toss a 7 on here too. So there it is. So, and then the rest of it stayed the same. So I kept the rest of it the same, but I did change the melody. I changed the melody just because I wanted something different there. So, okay, cool. So I made the adjustment. I changed the notes here. So before, it was this. If we just listen to the first 2 measures, And now I turned it into this. And now this, from this measure to the next measure, changes drastically, even though the chords are the same, because of the way we're approaching them. Versus this. So pretty nice color contrast when you compare them, even if we're only dealing with root position. So go ahead, make some adjustments, maybe write something completely new. It's up to you. Now this flat 7 down here, so this is figure bass, and we haven't formally talked about figure bass. It comes after we talk about inversions. So the figure bass, though, when it was developed, was not developed. The way we use chords today and talk about chords didn't really exist at this time. It was used by counting intervals. So you can't just write 7 here. Because we're using a flat 7, a minor 7, you have to write a minor 7 here. And that means, now technically these other things are implied. Well, not technically, that's what they are. They're implied. But we specify that there's a minor 7. We will talk about this in a way that makes far more sense later. But for now, if you're only writing in root position, when you write a minor 7, you should put a flat 7. If you're writing a major 7, you should put just a regular 7. And the reasons for this will become far more clear as we move on later and actually formally talk about figure bass, because it's quite an interesting topic, one that confuses a lot of people for reasons like the one I just said. So if you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe if you make something interesting. Drop a video of it, link to your video in the description, and we can all check out what the heck it is you're doing. And have a blessed day.